apparently there is a song from a music band.
Oh,
Mind you, a band that does a song and or music. And
it's crazy.
No one knows who made this song. And it's something that people have been working on for decades to figure out who wrote this song. So I have not heard of this internet mystery, and I figured we could maybe learn a little bit about this secret of the internet here together on the Emo Social Club broadcast.
Somewhere in the deepest depths of the internet is a song. It's a song that on first listen sounds like an 80s hit you're sure you've heard before. It lives on YouTube under the titles The Most Mysterious Song on the Internet or Like the Wind, but it appears on no streaming service. As you listen to this song, a few unsettling elements begin to jump out. You notice its poppy new wave sound is dimmed by a haunting tape hiss, indicating it was most likely ripped from the radio sometime in the mid-80s.
I kind of dig it.
I do dig it. I like it. It's like that one song. I don't know who sings that other song that sounds like it, but it's like you have that, but then you have like that gothy vibe to it because it came out like the 80s. My one thought would be is that like maybe it was released as like a demo somewhere, but then they just never picked up whatever that artist was, or like they decided to go with whoever originally recorded with that beat.
Yeah, which is like my music industry brain is working about like how does one create a song that then doesn't, no one in the US listens to a song that's released by a band in Germany or Russia. Like that would sound like this. Like we wouldn't have this, especially if it's not in English, we'd be like, nah, I don't know what that is. Not a song I'm listening to because I don't speak Russian German or German Russian, either one. So like the idea that a band would release a song that we didn't know, fine. But I guess it's like before a certain period in time where you would like keep all the records of it is what I would guess. So like if this song is actually 80s of the 80s from the 80s, and this is a remastered version, which is probably why it sounds kind of nicer and not like a rough cut from the radio or whatever it is. Like there would at least be somebody you could reach out to and say, hey, there's this song. Where would this have been recorded? Where would this have been played? Where is it from? All that. So, I mean, that to me in like music industry is like you would have a record. Like I've had bands that have gone to the studio that no one has listened to. And if I never did anything else, you know, like who would care, right? But it's like somewhere out there, if somebody heard it, they would be like, oh, I kind of know who to talk to about this. If it's at a big enough level of notoriety like this, you know?
Right. Like I feel like somebody would have stepped out unless there was like some type of like NDA or like dispute that came from it. But even so, if it was all the way back, like say, like we're saying, like in the 80s, that NDA would most likely be up unless it has something more behind it.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, at that time too, it could have been like somebody originally, because you know, goth and new wave wasn't really necessarily signed too often to like larger labels. Like it kind of was, but also wasn't.
And there were enough small labels. Like there's somebody. It's not like
there's somebody who could have it, but I think like maybe like a smaller artist who's either maybe unsigned or at like a smaller label made this beat, recorded it.
I will also,
and because it was a little bit different, and then maybe it got taken from one person to another to a larger label to use this.
I will also jump in here and say recording a song at the time is nowhere near as cheap as it is today. So it's not like they could just walk down the street and record a song at a studio and put it all on tape and have it available for consumption without some amount of investment. So maybe it wasn't like a major label, but there was certainly somebody putting up money to get the song into a recording studio, have somebody running the system, putting it down. Even if it was one guy and it was the guy who owned the place, there's like somebody who's keeping track of this shit that would be able to speak to where it's from. So I think that's our music industry brains in 2023 coming together to quickly solve a mystery that we've known about for 35 seconds. So
Brian's saying we actually need to investigate the entire thing and find out what it is.
I'm letting Lizzie become the true crime mommy that she's always wanted to be, and she's going to solve real life murders here on stream.
Oh no.
This must be a mistake. Maybe somehow Google indexed the main artist for this song on the second or third page. And
also, I realized I don't have captions on, and I feel like I should have captions on. So I'm sorry that I'm putting on captions in the middle of the video like this. I can't believe
you're being like this, Brian.
I know. It's Pride Month, and I think that anybody who can't hear has to wait until another month.
You sit back. What the hell is going on here? Is this a standalone complex? Is there no point of origin for this song? Is this song even called Like the Wind? Is this guy even singing the words Like the Wind? Nothing appears out of nowhere, and this song came from somewhere. So you get to work finding the origin of Like the Wind. But as you discover, the mystery goes far deeper than you could have imagined. The mystery of Like the Wind.
Now I'm thinking like a music fan, right? So you know how like people are like, I don't like the band's new stuff, so I'm not going to go see them live. You know, Bring Me the Horizon, like they don't do a lot of their old like deathcore stuff. So like I'm not really into the new stuff. I'm not going to go see them live. Like they've changed, whatever, you know? Like there's like that vibe of like the music is different now, so I'm not going to the concert. Are you like, I really like this song and I don't know who does it. So if they're like coming back for their nostalgia tour, if they're on When We Were Young 2023, I want to know, and I want to get the rest of their discography, and I want to learn the words because I am hella into this. Like, how far are you going, you know?
Like, I feel like I would want to know. I just want to know more.
Yeah.
I would go until I got to the end of it. I mean, there was actually I saw this documentary called, I think it was called Sanchez or something like that. And it was of this like one song that somebody found on like a vinyl, like a thrift store, and they're like, "Holy shit! Like this is great, this is awesome." I have no idea who this person is though, and there wasn't much information about him. And this person just went on a whole. It's a whole documentary. Went on this whole ass like journey trip to track down this man, track down his family, find out who the fuck he was, what happened with his record deal. What went down, and then like it premiered, I think at like Sundance, and now this dude was like playing a bunch of like shows during that time to like help promote the movie, and like was actually like getting paid royalties and all this stuff. So I will go to those levels.
If this ever gets solved, everyone can be like, "Yeah, I was into this before anyone knew who they were." 100%.
Oh yeah.
The best part of this being like a song that nobody knows who it is like we can make all of like the same music jokes about it. Yeah. Oh, I knew that band before anybody knew that band.
It's like, be quiet, you're wrong.
You can actually be like that hipster where if you figured it out, you could be like, yeah, I knew this band before anybody knew this band.
It's like, oh, really? Pray tell. What else did they play? How'd you find it out? Because the internet couldn't find it out.
Yeah, but you're like, dude, I got the most hipster cred on this song.
How infuriating of a person would you have to be? Trust me, I know. I've known hipsters. I've known indie kids.
Wind begins in West Germany sometime in 1984. An avid radio taper, known only as, quote, Darius S., is up on a nondescript evening recording to cassette a broadcast from West German public radio station Norddeutscher Rundfunk, or Northern German Radio. As Darius S. finishes up for the night, he pulls out a cassette labeling card and begins to write down the bands featured on that night's broadcast. Among those included were Depeche Mode, Simple Minds, Corey Hart, Ray Parker Jr., and Golden Earring, among a few other classic 80s bands. But when it came time to label track 8, Darius S. was perplexed. He realized after listening back a few times, he had never heard this song before and was clueless as to who had recorded it. He often omitted recording the DJ's announcements between songs so as not to break the flow of his mixtapes. This left him devoid of any identifying information to help him on his quest to
I just want to make sure that children in the chat, children out there understand that, like, yes, this is how you got to make your own playlists and listen to music for yourself. This is how you had to do it. And
this is why radio is important.
Okay, settle down. This was why radio was important. For reference, I did this when I was a kid. Like I would literally like be in the car able to like record if a song came on, like on the radio. And then we'd do it at home too. Like this is how I used to, yes, on cassettes. This is how I did it as a kid so that I could have songs. Like my family was fairly into music. And so like if we were listening to the radio, like, oh, I really want to hear that song again. And we had like, record on one, play it from the radio. So we could like either like record it live in the car or we'd record it on that boombox at home. So for the children in the chat, I am old enough that I have done exactly what they are describing here.
Oh my God.
Lizzie is saying the radio is necessary because of something I did 30 years ago.
I just didn't think you were in that time frame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Figure out who recorded, quote, track 8. But there was no fixing it, he thought. And so the anonymous Darius S. filed this mixtape away with countless others he had made on cold, dark nights in West Germany and went on with his life. 20 years pass. In 2004, an adult Darius S. was going through his old mixtapes, reminiscing about the nights he spent with his tape deck excitedly recording new music off of the NDR radio station, when suddenly he noticed something. An old tape from 1984 with a list of bands and songs. Depeche Mode, Simple Minds, Golden Earring, and there it was again. That mysterious song that Darius had only labeled, quote, Blind the Wind, with no artist attribution. He sat there, puzzled. But this is 2004, he thought. Surely a quick Google search will yield the artist behind Blind the Wind. So he fired up a then only 6-year-old Google.com and nothing. No song by the name, quote, Blind the Wind was returned from the search results. How odd, he thought. This song sounds like a mainstream hit from 1984. It can't be that hard to find. But alas, like 20 years earlier, Darius S. put it aside in his mind and went back to his life. 3 years pass. In 2007, the mysterious song, still titled on the tape liner notes as, quote, Blind the Wind, caught Darius S.'s attention yet again. This time, he went to his more tech-savvy sister, who shall be known as Lydia H., and asked her if she could use the internet to find out who was behind Blind the Wind. Lydia, assuming this would not be that big of a deal, decided to post the song to a series of Usenet sites in 2007. Lydia spent a bit more time on some forums for German pop music and 80s bands in general, but yet no one seemed to know the answer. 12 years pass.
Do you think that she took that entire 12 years to figure it out?
No. I think she's like, oh yeah, you asked me to do that thing. Sorry, I didn't get around to it. And he's probably like, it's fine. That's how things go, right?
A young Brazilian man named Gabriel da Silva Vieira lay awake, tormented by one thought that had haunted him since 2017. What was that mysterious song from that West German radio station? Yes, you see, because of the power of the internet, Lydia's posts on a series of Usenet forums from 2007 had found their way into the hands of one Nicolas Zuniga, who worked for the Spanish independent label Dead Wax Records. Nicolas had informed his friend Gabriel of the existence of this song and its unknown origin. However, little did Nicolas know that this would send Gabriel on a years-long quest to track down the author of Darius and Lydia's mystery song, now being called Like the Wind. Finally, in 2019, Gabriel decided to post the full song to YouTube and turned to Reddit for answers. It was Gabriel's post that set off the journey that the collective internet has been on for roughly 4 years now. Redditors, as they are apt to do, became excited and began to search out the farthest corners of the internet for answers. What is the true name of Like the Wind? Who recorded it? What night was it broadcasted? Does anyone have the tapes of that night? To document all of this, Gabriel created a specific subreddit, r/the mysterious song, where an open source musical archaeological dig has been ongoing since 2019. Yet, despite all this, and being in the era of Google, Twitter, Reddit, and now ChatGPT, the author and true name of the song Like the Wind has still not surfaced. Now, here is where I would like to add my 2 cents to this discussion. First, we can clearly discount the theory that has been floated on 4chan and in a few Reddit posts that this is actually an Ariel Pink-style savant whose home recording from 2007 is being passed off as a forgotten 80s band. Due to Darius and Lydia's hard proof from 1984, this is impossible. But what of those vocals? That to me is the most mysterious part of the song. As the music kicks in, you You think you're hearing English, but on closer listen, the language appears to be some mishmash of English, German, and Russian, as was stated earlier. Now, this is 1984. Not all, but quite a few West Germans were fluent in English at this point. Did they have accents? Sure. But the voice we are hearing on Like the Wind, if it is attempting to sing in English, most definitely has a thicker and more pronounced accent than your typical West German, which leads me to believe this band must have come from somewhere behind the Iron Curtain. Remember what era this is. Gorbachev was head of the Soviet Union, Perestroika and Glasnost were in full effect, and for the first time, the Soviet Union was allowing gatherings to take place without censorship. This
is very much entirely my shit, right?
No, I was about to say, I'm like, this is
like,
it.
Yo, dude. Like,
I took an entire history class about the United States after the 1950s. I'm like, God, this is so good.
The era of Kino, Aquarium, DDT, and the Soviet rock and roll renaissance. And yet this song managed to find its way into the hands of NDR, a West German radio station. This leads me to believe the likelihood that this came from deep within Russia is small. Given that, the circumstantial evidence leads me to only one likely answer: East Germany. It is my belief that whoever this band is, it is most likely composed of a mix of ethnic Russians and Germans attempting to sing in English. The rudimentary nature of the style, its similarity in aesthetics to other mainland Russian rock bands at the time seems to point in this direction.
I'm glad that he brought up the fact that it is very likely not just some artist from like current day trying to pass off like an 80s sound. And I'm like, okay, in 2023, maybe this is like a really good way to get your band heard. Like, ooh, that's not a bad idea at all to promote.
Is that what we're supposed to do as podcasters?
I think so. I think we're supposed to have the most mysterious podcast on the internet. We'll watch just a little bit of this other video from Whang. The one we just watched is from 3 months ago, so that's like the most up to date. This will be a little bit older, but I'm not done yet. I'm not done on this. I want to know more about this mystery, and Whang might be able to help us out here.
Today, I'm going to tell you the story of the most mysterious song on the internet. And I normally wouldn't play an entire song for you, because I don't want to get my whole channel shut down with a copyright strike, but I don't think that's much of a risk here because no one knows where this song came from. I mean, if someone did come forward with a copyright claim, it would basically solve this whole mystery, but without further ado...
Okay, brilliant deduction there. Because YouTube's content, like moderation shit and like copyright claims on music is so fucking harsh that if somebody said, you can't play that in your video, you'd be like, who are you, motherfucker? Answer these questions.
What do you know? What do you know?
What makes it difficult to identify this song is that the software and websites that have the function of identifying songs, for example Shazam, does not recognize this song. That is, this means that the band is an independent band that maybe recorded the song on a cassette tape and never released it, or if it was released, it was by an independent label.
I don't know the music scene in Germany during the 80s as, the Berlin Wall and all that shit.
I'm pretty sure if it was probably there, but it's most likely like very much underground. So nothing was going to be like, probably even tracked.
So
like
that
realistically,
in that case,
like it may not even be written down anywhere.
Yeah. So in that case, what we were saying before about like how there's no like you would need to be able to pay a certain amount of money, or there would need to be a label like putting up some money in order to get the opportunity to even record the song. Like we can maybe say, well, if it was from Germany during the Cold War, maybe not. That might open that can of worms there too, where it's like, yeah, it actually could not it could maybe not be something that a label had access to. It could maybe be that it was released independently by an independent label or by somebody who just had access to recording equipment and done kind of on the low because of the Cold War and living in East, like the other video said, East Berlin.
Has anybody like found out who that DJ was that night and asked them?
No, because he cut those off too. They're trying to find out like when it was broadcast and who would have been on the radio that night, and they can't find it.
We could even just Google it, just look through the 80s and be like, which one of you
look through the
play
80s.
This? Look through the archive of who was on during that time.
He knows the radio station. He knows.
This is in general radio here in Chicago and the U.S. It's very, very small. I would not doubt that it's this. I would not doubt that it's not the same way over there, especially back then.
But then if we're saying that recording studio and labels during Iron Curtain, Cold War, two Berlins,
but here's the thing is too, though, like if you are a DJ at a radio station, the one way that you get song submissions is like now we do too, but sometimes it's digital. It still goes physical and digital both ways. Back then, though, it was all physical. So somebody would have had to mail or drop off that original song somehow, some way, with some type of information in it to make him want to like stop and listen to it. Because if it's a public radio station, public radio is going to definitely probably get a lot more submissions. I don't know fully what other radio was out there during that time, but public radio was a little bit like more available because it was free out there. So you would need to have basically like a way of sorting it. So something would have to stand out to you before you even listen to it. So whoever those DJs or the PD or the MD who was at the time would have to go through and make a conscious decision to say, put this on air. And they would have to have some type of info for it.
My only thought is that if it was different during the Cold War.
Here, in some other thread, he says his home radio station is Bremen 4. In another thread, he says that he used to listen to NDR1/NDR2 radio station when there was a show, Music for Young People. Music for around 1330. Many new bands were introduced there.
I'm on the website right now.
But I guess that wasn't enough for new accounts because shortly after he returned with more information. This time, he had found the identity of the DJ who hosted Music for Young People. Here's some other guy. Paul Baskerville. Starting in 1982, Baskerville got its own weekly slot in the daily program Music for Young People, which ran on NDR1. In this program, he presented current, often completely unknown music from fields of punk, independent, new wave, and related art styles. Since he is British, maybe this is why he played a song with English lyrics. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that Paul Baskerville is almost definitely the man who played this song on the radio.
Almost definitely.
And with this knowledge in mind, Gabriel decided to reach out to him. Now that we have discovered the person who posted this song for the first time on the internet, we have been able to track other messages from that user in other forums. His name possibly being Anton. He possibly lives in Germany in Bremen. Anton says he recorded this song from a German radio station called NDR in a program called Music for Young People. Paul Baskerville is married and has a daughter.
We must threaten his wife and child to find the person who wrote this song.
He lives in Hamburg.
He lives in Hamburg. We are coming for you, Baskerville. Now it's starting to become like the Great Mouse Detective.
Oh, no. Wait, there's a new Reddit post from the 23rd of this year. On May 23rd. Hey, Brian and I gonna crack.
We're cracking. Has anyone tried to contact NDR Blue about Paul Baskerville? Just 6 days ago, they posted a broadcast recording on their website with Paul as the host. My German, however, is incredibly basic, so I have not yet attempted to contact them.
So if you scroll down further, it says there's been a short video broadcast on the topic on NDR with statement from Baskerville.
They have been contacted a lot and prefer people would stop. That's the first thing you see on here.
Well, just remember what the fucking song was and people will stop. That's the thing.
Please don't hassle Paul. He's been asked a million times already. Fuck!
So dramatic.
Oh, fuck!
Ihren Ursprung hat die Geschichte.
Yes.
The origins of the story go back to 1982. In the Hörfunk studio, Ralph Baskerville plays songs for the legendary show Music for Young Leute. Under them was the song. Oh shit, look at Paul. Dude, damn. Paul's got that haircut, you know.
That's exactly who I
This is exactly what you thought of Paul Baskerville.
I got him.
Decent song. A really sorry, I'm not doing the accent. A really catchy sound that could be a hit, maybe even from a famous band.
I feel like they know they want to say something.
Nearly 40 years later, the NDR archive researches after the song for a listener which recorded the show back in the days.
Recherchiert das NDR-Archiv nach dem Titel für einen Zuhörer, der die Sendung damals mitgeschnitten hatte.
Dann habe ich mich erstmal selbst auf die
I started searching and checked the airing history of the said show of Paul Baskerville from the years 1982 to 1984, together with an 80s Musicverse colleague, but unfortunately without luck.
I wonder if they just decide to expand their search to like 80 to like 85, 86, if that'll help.
Let's try late 81.
Mit einem Kollegen, der sehr musikkundig ist, was die 80er angeht, aber leider ohne Erfolg.
Der Titel wurde ins Internet.
The song was published on the internet. You find him immediately, like 2.6 million other users. Still, nobody knows the band name nor the song title.
Gestellt, man findet ihn sofort. Wie inzwischen mehr als 2,6 Millionen andere User auch, aber keiner kennt Band oder Titel.
The title.
Genauso wenig wie die Musik.
Neither does the music recognizing software Shazam. Nothing. The band
Well,
of
the
that song
unknown-
there is just called The Unknown Band.
But what if that was their band name?
Erkennungssoftware Shazam. Nichts. Dort heißt der Urheber nur The Unknown Band.
The Very Unknown Band.
Moderator Paul
Moderator Paul Baskerville, who meanwhile became a legend himself and is still on the air, has played tens of thousands of titles. But this one? Even he doesn't know the answer.
Baskerville, inzwischen selbst eine Legende und immer
Please
noch
put on your mask.
hat zehntausende Titel
It is very
gespielt.
much
Aber
during
dieser
COVID.
Hier, selbst er kennt die Antwort nicht.
Das ist noch nie passiert. Ich glaube, es geht einfach darum,
This has never happened. I believe it's just about that you can't bear the thought that you can't identify the song.
dass man das gar nicht ertragen kann. Also einfach der Gedanke, dass man ein Lied nicht identifizieren kann. Shazam ist gescheitert.
Shazam failed, and people think of it as a weird situations in those times.
Oh, I like how situations
Und das
capitalize.
finden die Leute irgendwie schräg, so eine schräge Vorstellung in der heutigen Zeit.
Aber kann es wirklich sein, dass weltweit
But can it really be that nobody on this planet knows that a band that awful, that even has a song that catchy?
absolut
I don't know what that
niemand
sentence
eine
was.
womöglich
I don't
hoffnungsvolle
know
Band
either.
trotz eines so eingängigen Titels kennt?
Meine Vermutung ist, dass
My thoughts here are that this was from a demo tape,
es eine Demokassette gewesen ist. Und ich habe vielleicht, oder ein Kollege
and I, or maybe a colleague like Stefan Kienert, have played a song from it one time, maybe because the band played a gig in The Logo, and then maybe it was thrown into the trash bin.
wie Stefan Kühne hat vielleicht einmalig ein Stück gespielt von einer Demokassette. Vielleicht war
Paul seems so fucking over it.
Yeah, he's like, guys, please, I'm begging you. This
Fuckers,
is
I
the
threw it out,
last."
man. It's not that good. I fucking
Like, I
tossed
biffed
it,
it.
bro.
I don't know what else to tell you guys. Be obsessed with something else. Go touch grass. I'm begging
Yeah,
you.
this guy is like, I don't care how many mentally ill people are on Reddit. Why is this my fucking problem? I have a wife and daughter.
Well, here's
Leave
the
them
thing.
alone.
He mentions a colleague here. Let's go fucking bug Stefan.
Maybe a colleague like Stefan Kenner.
weil die Band im Logo aufgetreten ist und dann ist diese Demokassette im Müll gelandet. Und das würde erklären, dass man den
That would explain why it's not showing up on the playlist, because then it wouldn't really be relevant for the GEMA. That are just my thoughts, really.
Song nicht in den Playlisten gefunden hat, weil es dann für die Gamer nicht relevant war. Das ist so meine Vermutung letztendlich.
Die Archivare Sönke Treu und Rüdiger
The
That's him
archive is
slipping and not
so
doing his work. Because you have to log everything. That's him admitting he slipped. I know back then it was either vinyl or tape. Like they would actually have to like put the tape in and then take it out. So at a certain point they would have to know what it is. Because they would also have to ideally announce it. So the way, obviously, radio and broadcasting announcing has changed in like a decade since then. But what they typically go for format wise is that you have 3 to 5 breaks per hour. You have it on the 05, on the 15, on the 30 or 35, on the 45 or 47, then on either the 50 or the 52 or the 57, 55 at the end of the hour to wrap up before the legal IDs run. And what you're supposed to do is ideally play, 2 to 3 to maybe 4 songs. And if there's songs on there that aren't like hits, like they're not the bangers everybody's going to know, you're going to say, oh, these last songs you just heard were fill in the blank, especially if you're doing a music radio show that's for like unknown or like local artists. That's what you're supposed to do.
I think you're talking shit about local legend Paul Baskerville here.
I just think that Paul Baskerville was slipping.
I think he's like,
as someone who ran a local radio show,
like what you're
slipping.
describing here and what you're saying here is like you fucked up so bad the one thing you're supposed to be doing as a host on
and
radio.
Now look at what you've
done.
No
one will ever let you live it down. Like this guy
and
made
you're
one
annoyed
mistake.
by it.
You know when you can't fall asleep because you're sitting in bed thinking about like a dumb mistake you made years and years ago? This is what you're thinking of. He is the example of that exact thing that you are remembering late into the night. I didn't fucking write it down. Fuck. It's also a little bit about honor because normally the NDR archive doesn't forget anything. Nothing.
See?
No.
They know he fucked up.
We do not need to write it down. We never forget anything.
Did this entire news report turn into roasting Baskerville for not doing his job properly?
Und vielleicht kommt doch noch
To see that they actually have the physical archive like that back in the day, that's wild. This is me nerding. This is cool to see, but it's wild. You had to be that precise and you didn't do it. That's
wildin'.
That's so crazy, dude.
And maybe there will be some light in the dark on this very, really mysterious case.
The other possible lead comes from a German organization known as GEMA. Well, I was watching the video from Whang, and I read in the comments that someone said that in Germany, there is a collective society and performance right organization named GEMA that requires every song played in all German radio stations to be reported. Since the organization was founded in 1933, it's possible they can bring us some information about the song. I sent them an email. Hopefully they will respond and help us.
No, it's gonna get caught up in
Judging
bureaucracy.
from the response by German Redditors, though, I don't think we should be holding our breath on that lead. It seems that GEMA very much has the same reputation that the RAAA has in America. But that being said, they could have the answer, and they do have a searchable database, although without knowing the name of the song or artist, it's really going to be hard to use that.
That was Whang. Thank you, Whang, for the updates and all that. I find this very interesting and very cool, and I don't understand what to do with any of it because it sounds like we're still on it. But I think the story is really cool, and I don't know. Maybe we'll keep an eye on it and do some updates later on if we ever find any. So. Hope you enjoyed this very random music deep dive rabbit hole. Pretty cool. Pretty cool, guys.
Pretty sick.
Pretty weird.